I think we should go on the road. So, freedom is a wonderful thing. And so this is a story of a brave young woman who learns that freedom is a wonderful thing. It's a story. I'm going to read it to you. As the car moved slowly up the grapevine twist of a road, she lay on the back seat covered with clothes and blankets, looking up and out the windows, watching the palm trees overhead, the banana trees, the coffee bushes, the pine trees. Very quickly after the back wheels got around a curve, the front wheels were turning again. She was ascending and listening to the monkeys in the trees, letting go and allowing the angels and the most blessed Virgin of Guadalupe to lift her and her saviors, her human angels, to higher ground. As she went around and around and up and up and around, she thought, why did I even marry him? I didn't know him. I thought God sent him to me, meeting him in a little country store, good-looking, charming, charismatic, and Spanish-speaking. She thought God had answered her prayers. On the wedding night, his mask came off and he got violent. She got away in her car and he flew back to Guatemala. The following day, he called, apologized, and wanted her to come to Guatemala. She called the priest who had performed the ceremony of marriage and said, I don't know what to do. She performed the ceremony of marriage. And the priest said, I don't know what to tell you now. You married him. She thought she had to follow him. She had no idea that in Guatemala in 1970, a wife was a possession of the husband, like a house or a car. Finally, arriving at the top of the mountain at the aduana, the customs official stamped her visa. That's all she had. No passport, only a marriage certificate, which she definitely had no intention of showing. After she got the visa stamped, she was free to cross over into Mexico. However, her rescuers were not, because one of them, the driver, had forgotten to get special permission, written permission from the president of the country, because he, the driver, was the Secretary of State for the whole country. While the two couples waited for the phone call from the presidential palace, she decided to cross over alone and wait on the other side. The pedestrian bridge was just like the one in the Bridge Over the River Kwai movie, if you've seen that one. For those that don't know, it was a swinging bridge made of rope, like macrame, high above a river which separates Guatemala from Mexico. But nothing could stop her at that point. She got onto Mexican soil, stepping onto Mexican soil. No one was there to see her kiss the ground and shout, Viva Mexico, viva la libertad, the same cry that the famous Father Hidalgo had made in that very same place. But soon the roosters were crowing and the villagers in the city of Hidalgo were coming out of their houses. The villagers were wondering what a young blonde gringa was doing alone in their village at that hour. Very soon, everybody breathed a sigh of relief as the big van vehicle called an International Suburban, if anybody, with 2 men and 2 women came across the railroad bridge to pick her up and take her all the way to Mexico City and to the Cathedral of the Virgin of Guadalupe to honor the Virgin and to give their prayer of gratitude. They all believed in the power of prayer. So they made a pilgrimage to her shrine, where a remnant of her clothing is housed in a glass case. Some believe that her energy is still in that glass case, where her cape remains, with the one with the stars on it. Now, let's bookmark this story at this point in order to analyze the significant words in the story. Freedom comes from D-O-M, comes from domain, domicile, where one resides. like kingdom is the domain of a king. Freedom is the domain of the free, land of the free. The word virgin refers to purity of thought. Certainly, the young woman was innocent and had purity of thought. The Holy Mother represents unconditional love. Gratitude, the word in Spanish, gracias, comes from the word grace. Certainly, they all experienced grace by getting over the bridge. Bridge, she had to cross over and she had to walk that road alone. Note, the protagonist surrendered to her God self, as well as to the God selves of the great souls who risked their own lives to get her to freedom. They all believed in what they were doing. They acted together in unity, as a community, and she allowed it. She surrendered, sort of like when you go into surgery. When we, you or I, release, relax, and let go, we know firsthand the God of our being. When we let go and get into that state of surrendered oneness, we experience transcendence, like the Virgin leaving her cloak behind. Like the butterfly, we transform from one state to another. For a few minutes, anyway, we transcend into the experience of being in the domain of freedom, the place of being free. In the last 1/3 of her life, as she looked back and pondered this journey up the mountain and across the bridge, she saw that it was indeed a pinnacle moment. It was more than just a preparation to be a bridge for understanding for Hispanic peoples. It was more than just a lesson for being grateful for her life as an American woman in the United States of America. It was a representation of her spiritual journey, of her ascension in consciousness to the awareness of oneness. She realized she had been being groomed to become a light worker in a world being made ready for shape-shifting into a new age. Her journey included different languages and different cultures, which may or may not have originated in past lives, but it was preparation for the application of the wisdom acquired through those many diverse experiences. Now, let's picture the spiral up the mountain. And we're going to close our eyes, sit comfortably with your eyes closed, and let go of any thoughts from the outside world. Let's take 3 deep breaths. Now, we are going to descend down the spiral from 10 to 1. Each time we go down and around, we are going to a level deeper and more into the surrendered state. So here we go. 10, going down and around. 9, down and around. 8, watching the breath. 7, down and around. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Arriving at the bottom, we are going to walk through a beautiful green meadow. We hear water. We walk toward the sound. Arriving at the edge of the babbling brook, we find a bench to sit upon. As we watch and listen to the happy, flowing water, a scene from our own life comes to mind, which was a pivotal moment in our own lives. It may be a decision, a choice, an action we took, an accident, a birth, anything that comes to your mind as a pinnacle point or a pivotal moment. Listen to the water. It's so beautiful. Now, as you get a picture of that experience, I want you to think of a name for it. Name it. Okay, now we're going to float back up the spiral, around, up. I will count from 1 to 10. So I will count slowly from 1, up and around the curve, 2, up and around, 3, we're going up, 4, 5, 6, around and up, 7, 8, 9, 10. Arriving here now in this present place, in this chair, in this lovely place called the Coptic Center. Turn to the person to your right or to your imaginary friend and share the one word that came to your mind. Later in the meet and greet room, you can share more. Okay, you can do it now if you want. And you don't have to. You can talk to your imaginary friend. Here at the Coptic Center, we learn to care for our mind, body, emotions, and spirit. We learn to be mindful of the energy frequency we emit. We learn to take responsibility for our own vibration. Not only did I used to say freedom is a wonderful thing, I used to say, and it's expensive. And by that, I meant that it includes a lot of responsibility. Yes, it is my story. I would like to believe that the energy or the vibration I was emitting caused the two couples to risk their lives in my escape. It was a pinnacle moment in my life. What is a pivotal moment in your life? What is your story? Telling it may give you freedom. Freedom is a wonderful thing. Thank you.